All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this afternoon's live commentary coverage of the Quaker State 400 from the Atlanta Motor Speedway, formerly known as Atlanta Motor Speedway, now renamed Echo Park Speedway, for tonight's NASCAR Cup Series race. Super Speedway slash drafting oval racing on the new 1.5 mile hybrid drafting track at Atlanta. I shouldn't say new anymore. This is already the fifth year that we've seen this configuration, and it has been a lot of fun. And in the last couple of years, we have seen some of the greatest finishes, not only in just recent memory NASCAR, but even NASCAR history, as well as some of the best racing that the series has to offer in this day and age. Very reminiscent of an old Daytona. If you're a fan of that bumpy mid 2000s Daytona circuit, late 2000s Daytona circuit, this is very much like it. Maybe not with the bumps, but just the low grip, and obviously with the heat of the summer months in Atlanta, Georgia, it's going to be hot, it's going to be slick, and drivers are going to be in the engine control here this evening. A record 13 cautions in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race yesterday, a track record. Most caution laps in an O'Reilly race at Atlanta as well was last night. Don't think we're going to see quite the carnage this evening, but of course the big one could always strike at any given moment, and a potential upset winner could be on the horizon for this evening as well. We are going to get into some NASCAR trivia here in a couple of moments. NASCAR Atlanta Sporkle. And we will do our best to try to get the most out of this. NASCAR Atlanta. Get our brains working, and then we'll get into the race itself here in about a half hour or so when the green flag drops. I think we should just do the NASCAR Cup O'Reilly truck race winners here first, and then maybe do another short quiz immediately after this one. A lot of races at Atlanta in the NASCAR Cup Series. 1960 was their first race there, and most of the time they have ran 2 races a season. Actually, in the 60s, there's a couple of years where they ran 3 races a year. So I don't expect to get a perfect score on this quiz this week, but we'll do our best. 189 drivers have won across the top 3 series at Atlanta. We'll try to name them all. This is up to date through the spring race, it looks like, in 2026. I don't know if it's going to have the O'Reilly race from last night with Justin Allgaier, but we'll see. So Raymond Joss, Steve J, Dad, Stuart Gilbert, Laverne Angel, and many others. Welcome into the stream, everybody. All righty. Let's get this first quiz under wraps. And we'll go with Chase Elliott. Of course, Bill Elliott going to be on this list a bunch as well. Ryan Blaney, former Atlanta winner. Martin Truex Jr. has not won at Atlanta. He won on a lot of 1.5 miles, so that's kind of surprising. Kevin Harvick, former winner here. Mark Martin is a former Cup Series winner here. Jeff Gordon, Carl Edwards, Jimmy Johnson. We got Bobby Johns that popped on the list. Casey Kane, Earnhardt, Labonte. 2002. All right, put Jeff Gordon. Tony Stewart has won here before. He won 1 race in 2002. Matt Kenseth. Greg Biffle. Ryan Newman. Keselowski is there for a Brad win. Joey Logano has won here a couple times. William Byron has won here a couple times. Tyler Reddick earlier this season. Christopher Bell last year. Bush. Got some Kurt and Kyle Bushes. Denny Hamlin in 2012. Dale Jarrett. Ernie Irvan. Harry Gant. Neil Bonnet in the 80s, Parsons, Richard Petty, David Pearson, Cale Yarborough, Darrell Waltrip, Bodine, Suarez in 2024, 2000. Schrader. Kenny Schrader in 1991. Morgan Shepherd won here a couple times. 3 times to be exact. Alan Kulwicki? No. See, he won a championship here. Allison. Got the Allison gang. 2000. Ricky Rudd in 87. Justin Allgaier. I think I'll skip the Cup Series and maybe go back. Why can't I think of who won here? Jerry Nadeau won in 2000. Okay. I got that. 1993. Uh, Rusty Wallace. There we go. 79. Baker. Fireball Roberts, I know, is on the list. Marvin Panch. No Weatherly Thomas. AJ Foyt. 1976. I think we got to start to get some of these O'Reilly and Truck Series races now. O'Reilly Series in recent years. I know Ty Gibbs is a former winner here. Bobby Hamilton. Nick Sanchez last season. Sheldon Creed earlier this year. Austin Hill has won here a bunch. Some of the truck races. Christopher Bell, maybe? No. Byron. Larson on here at all? No. See what the chat has to say. We got a minute and a half left. Oh, well, yeah, of course. Ron Hornaday. There we go. Ron Hornaday, Mike Skinner. Moffitt on here at all? Yep. 2006. No Quapple. Got Ty Dillon. Cindric maybe in 2020. 2020. Briscoe won a lot of races that year. For the trucks. Zane Smith. 22 and 23. Oh, wow, we're out of time already. That was so fast. I just flat out ran out of time. Corey Heim, I should have known. That should be a given pretty much everywhere. Corey Heim in 2022, Christian Eckes in 23, Grant Enfinger in 2020, Matt Kraft in 2015, and then Mike Bliss in 06 were the truck races we missed. O'Reilly in 93 was Ward Burton, Jamie McMurray in 2002, Jeff Burton in 06, 07, McMurray again in 2010, Stenhouse in 2012's championship season, one of them, and then AJ Allmendinger won the 2020 race. And for Cup Series, I did pretty good. Dave Marcus was 1976 winner. And then the other ones that I missed in the 60s, Leroy Yarborough in 68, 69, Dick Hutcherson in 67, Hershey's in 66, Fred Lorenzen in 63 and 64, Rex White in 62, and Lorenzen again in 61, 62. So Lorenzen had 4 Atlanta wins. Bob Burdick in 1961 also won there. I got the average, at least the average score, 88%, 79% would have been the average score, but we got 88. Not bad. That's like a B plus. I'll take that. That's like a B plus. Not bad. We'll do another short form quiz. We'll go NASCAR winners, and I want to see what other kind of lists we have here. Name the NASCAR winners by decade. So this is all-time winners by the decade. And this does not include the 2020s. I'll circle back to that. I might come back to that one. Yeah, I think we'll do that, honestly. So we'll go NASCAR winners by decade. This is going to be the most wins by the decade in NASCAR, but we're not doing the 2020s. So it's going to be 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s. 40s is going to be tough because it was only 1949. So I'd have to name everybody who would have won a race in the inaugural season. Just based off that alone, I don't think we're going to get a perfect score here. Blaney's going to win today. He's got a good shot. Penske looks quick tonight. Sweeping the front row with Blaney and Logano. I'm excited as a Blaney fan. All right, we'll see if we can get the all-time winners per decade. Jimmy Johnson's going to be on here for a couple decades. Jeff Gordon as well. I like how it says Jeff Wonderboy Gordon. There must have been like a Jeff Gordon hater. Earnhardt, Allison on the all-time wins list. Pearson's on the all-time wins list. Richard Petty, of course. Hale Yarborough. Denny Hamlin's won a lot. Same for Kyle Busch. Kurt Busch going to be on here too. Rusty Wallace has a lot of wins. Tony Stewart. Ned Jarrett. Herb Thomas has like 40-something wins. Matt Kenseth is close to 40. So is Logano. Oh, okay. He's not on here, though. See, most of Logano's wins would have been in the 2020s. Bill Elliott's got a lot of wins. I did already put him. 1980s, 57. Who am I? Eddie Parsons. Baker. Bodine is going to be on here for the 90s. Ernie Irvin's going to be on here for the 90s. Mark Martin's going to be on here for the 90s. Who else won 10 plus races in the 90s alone? Winners by the decades. Might have to skip that. 2000s, Carl Edwards. Greg Biffle won a lot. 10 plus wins. Earnhardt Jr. Oh, he would have been on there already. Labonte for the 90s. Terry and Bobby. Burton? Jeff Burton's on here for the 90s and 2000s. Ryan Newman, 2000s. Casey Kane, 2010s. Let's think here. Denny Hamlin, I think I put already. I don't think I put Waltrip yet. Yeah, Darrell Waltrip. That was the biggest one from the 80s I was missing. Leroy Yarbrough. Get some of the 50s on here. Fireball Roberts, Weatherly Panch. Most wins by decade. Boyer on here? 2010s, yep. Truex. True what? Well, Harvick is gonna be on here twice. I don't know what year this stopped. What year they stopped tracking this quiz? 2017. Before the 2017 Daytona 500. So it only goes up to 2016 and the 2010s. That makes sense as to why Truex wasn't on there because he didn't win the title till 2017. He only had a couple wins in the decade before that. Brad Keselowski. So I got all the 2000s. I got all the 2010 winners. Somebody else that won 10 races in the 1990s I did not get yet. At least 10 career cup wins, 90s. Cool Wiki only had 5. So he's not going to be on here. I'll put his name just in case, but I know he's not on here. Schrader's got single digits. Tim Richmond, he's on here in the 80s, 13. This is where this quiz gets tough. 70 of 94. Phil Rexford is probably going to. Oh, nope, he's not on here. Red Byron's going to be on here in the 40s. He was a champion of the inaugural season. I don't know who all would have been in the 40s. Oh, I didn't put Harry Gant yet. See, I was thinking I did. I put him on the last quiz. Harry Gant's on here. But that would have been for the 80s he was on here, not the 90s. So I'm still missing 10 wins in the 1990s. I don't know if that was the later part of the decade, the early part of the decade. Who have I not put yet? Ricky Rudd. Ricky Rudd. 10 wins in the 80s, 10 wins in the 90s. Okay. Now we got 13 wins in the 80s. I'm missing one driver with 13 wins in the 80s. Might have to circle back to that one. '70s. Got the Flocks. Bob Flock in the 40s. Tim Flock, Fonnie Flock in the 50s. Lund, Tiny Lund. Oh, AJ Foyt for the 70s had 5 wins. Andretti was close. I know he was around that number. Dan Gurney had about 5 wins, but that wasn't in the 70s. That was probably the 60s. 16 wins in the 70s. Really trying to think about this. I'm like, who? I do have Bodine already. 13 wins in the 1980s. Who am I missing? 1970s. Put Curtis Turner in there, got him for the 40. Oh, wow, time just expired on me. I was not looking at the timer. That's 2 quizzes in a row. The time has just absolutely flown by. I got Curtis Turner for the 40s and 50s right at the end. Jim Roper and Jack White were the other 2 from the 40s. Yeah, I could have came up with White given the time. Speedy Thompson, he's got a lot of wins. He had 18 of them in the 50s. Dick Rathman, Jack Smith in the early 50s as well. Fred Lorenzen is on here. Definitely should have gotten that. That was for the 60s. He had 26. Dick Hutcherson had 14. Jack Smith on here against. Jack Smith had over 20 career wins. Dick Hutcherson, same thing, about 25. Jim Pascal had 18. Rex White again. Bobby Isaac, 21. Isaac had 21 wins in the 60s, and then he had 16 in the 70s. Neil Bonnet had 5 wins in the 1970s, so he would have been the 80s too, right? Yeah. So that was the one name I was missing from the 80s still. So 70s and 80s. Not bad, 85%. Not quite as good as we did on the first quiz. Average score 73%, but we did get above average in both quizzes today. So congratulations to everybody that did play along in the chat. We did a pretty good job collectively. Good start to the stream, everyone. All right, on to NASCAR.com now. We've got a lot to cover here in the last couple of minutes, basically, of this pre-race. So let me get the broadcast going on my phone just so I don't miss anything major here. aka the start of the race. We don't want that. Help me stay in a timely fashion. All right, so they are just wrapping up the national anthem right now for the Quaker State 400 at Atlanta. We're going to go over the in-season tournament challenge. 2 rounds are in, and obviously the winner of the bracket will end up getting $1 million, driver-wise, that is, whoever wins the in-season tournament challenge. And we're down to the round of 8. So the final 8, third round begins tonight. There will be 4 matchups that we're going to follow throughout the course of the race. And tonight we've got Alex Bowman versus Todd Gilliland. A couple of upsets to make it through not just 1 but 2 rounds. Alex Bowman in the first 2 rounds had beaten Tyler Reddick at Sonoma, and then at Chicagoland last week bested Austin Cindric. I would have actually had Tyler Reddick in his replace, as I'm sure most drivers probably would have, Reddick being the #1 seed, but Bowman made it through. He's the 32 seed, the last seed for this, still kicking. The 25 seed Todd Gilliland pulled off an upset 2 weeks in a row as well on Daniel Suarez and Carson Hocevar. I had him eliminated in the first round, much like Bowman, and I would have had Carson Hocevar competing tonight against Reddick. Neither one of those two are in, so for that matchup, I really don't have a rooting interest there for the bracket side of things. Either one of them are going to be a good story, though. For Todd Gilliland to make it to the Final Four, that would be huge for Front Row Motorsports. And obviously, Alex Bowman missed a couple races this year with injury and just injury over injury the last few seasons. We'll see if Alex Bowman can have kind of a shining light on his season by winning this $1 million bonus, the in-season tournament challenge. That'd be big for him, I'm sure, personally. As far as the bottom right-hand corner, I've been perfect in that quadrant so far. Chase Briscoe is going up against Chase Elliott. Briscoe, the 12th seed, entering the tournament. Chase Elliott, the 4th seed. Elliott had beaten Noah Gragson at Sonoma, and last week Michael McDowell at Chicagoland. Kind of an easier route, considering Gregson's not a good road course racer. Michael McDowell in an oval. Elliott's had a pretty good round so far, but he's going to have a tough test here tonight against Briscoe and Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota. And for Briscoe, he's had a tough one because he had Allmendinger on a road course at Sonoma, and he had his teammate Ty Gibbs, who has been outperforming for most of the season, last week on a 1.5 miles at Chicagoland, and Briscoe was able to come home with his first win of the season, and with getting that win, obviously advances him into this next round. So we got Briscoe versus Elliott, and I do have Chase Elliott moving on to the Final Four. I actually still have Blaney and Elliott, who are in my championship, that are still going, but Hocevar and Busch are out of my shot for a clean Final Four for this bracket. But hey, I mean, if I get the finals, I'll take the bragging rights at least for that much. In the bottom right-hand corner, we've got Ryan Blaney going up against William Byron. Byron was able to beat Ricky Stenhouse Jr. as I predicted in the first round, but last week I had Kyle Larson on the 1.5 miles at Chicago beating Byron. Byron actually dominated the first half of that race. He won the first 2 stages, ended up actually leading the most laps, finished in 3rd place, but he was able to get the next round of the in-season tournament challenge. Larson had a good day as well, was top 10 most of the day, but he just wasn't up leading laps top 3 all day like Byron was, and that's what Byron needed to do to beat his teammate Larson for that spot, and he was able to do it. And as for Ryan Blaney, he beat out Josh Berry at Sonoma. Berry, not a good road course racer, an SVG on an oval last week. Kind of the same thing for Elliott. They both had some pretty easy trips to get to the round of 8, but now it's going to be tough with the Penske going up against a Hendrick Chevy, and that Hendrick Chevy of Elliott going up against the Joe Gibbs Toyota Briscoe, who's been hot, obviously winning last weekend. In the upper right-hand corner, the last side of the bracket that we have, it's Denny Hamlin versus Christopher Bell. 2 Joe Gibbs Racing teammates. I'm sure they're going to be on top of each other all night, being teammates, kind of similar to Gibbs and Briscoe last week. Bell has won at Atlanta with this configuration in the spring of last season in 2024. Denny Hamlin has not won on the drafting Atlanta Oval, and actually has had quite a bit of bad luck here. I did have Denny Hamlin advancing to this round. He had beaten Eric Jones last weekend and Ty Dillon in the first round at Sonoma. Despite a spin at Sonoma, Hamlin was able to evade beating out Ty Dillon by a couple positions. Last week, Denny Hamlin, pretty solid, ran top 5 most of the day. Eric Jones, a decent day for him, but not good enough. Obviously, the best Hamlin for that matchup. And as for Christopher Bell, he beat out my guy Chris Buescher, who I had going to the Final Four last weekend, and Ross Chastain in week number 1. Bell's been surprising me so far with how much speed he has had. He has that broken wrist. Because of that, I didn't think he was going to be healed enough to really advance far in the tournament. I had him getting out in the first round. So the fact that he's made it to this round and has a reasonable shot to make it to the Final Four, awesome for him. All these guys really that are in the tournament right now, I'd say 6 of the 8 are actually heating up as the summer months go on, so probably not a surprise they're here. As for Todd Gilliland and Alex Bowman, luck has been on their side with Reddick having the power steering issues at Sonoma in the first round for Bowman, and then in the Todd Gilliland rounds, beating Hocevar last week, who got in a crash early at Chicagoland, and Daniel Suarez at Sonoma. Gilliland flat out just beat Daniel Suarez that day, so good enough for Todd Gilliland at Sonoma, and then he got a little bit of luck last week. It's going to be interesting who's going to win that battle between Bowman and Gilliland. I would not be shocked if it comes down to the closing laps for it, and that's definitely going to be kind of the upsets of the Final Four picks. But that is what we have to look forward to for the in-season tournament challenge, and again, we will follow those matchups throughout the course of the night. As far as tonight's race itself goes, we'll take a look at the starting lineup now as follows, as I'll pull up the leaderboard. Penske sweeping the front row yesterday in qualifying. Ryan Blaney going to be on the pole here today at Atlanta, trying to go for his first Atlanta win on the new configuration. He is a former winner here. He won the 2021 spring race on the old surface. Joey Logano is a 2-time Atlanta winner. He has won on the new surface for both of those races in 2022 and 2023. Kyle Larson has not yet won at Atlanta Motor Speedway, both the prior configuration and the current, but he has been pretty quick. He had a top 3 here in the spring race last season, and he starts third today. Austin Dillon will start at row number 2. Good qualifying effort for the number 3 for Richard Childress Racing. And row number 5 will be Daniel Suarez and Alex Bowman, who I mentioned moments ago, going for the Final Four in the in-season tournament challenge today. Chase Elliott, another 2-time Atlanta winner in the new configuration, alongside Austin Cindric in row number 4. Row 5 will be Ross Chastain and Brad Keselowski, another 2-time Atlanta winner, though both of his wins on the old configuration. Eric Jones, Shane Van Gisbergen will make up row number 6. SVG leading laps at Atlanta earlier this spring. Chris Buescher with Carson Hocevar in row number 7. Hocevar winner in the last drafting oval at Talladega. And row number 8 will be Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Ty Dillon. Row 9 for Josh Berry and Michael McDowell. Ryan Preece and Chase Briscoe, last week's winner at Chicagoland, will make up row 10. In row 11, Todd Gilliland trying to fight strong in the in-season tournament challenge yet again, and Bubba Wallace will make up this row. Ty Gibbs alongside John Hunter Nemechek, former winners here in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, will now try to go for the first Cup wins at Atlanta Motor Speedway from row number 12. And row 13, Connor Zilic, who has had 3 straight DNFs, looking to bounce back this weekend. And William Byron, 2-time new surface Atlanta winner. He won here in 2022 in the summer race of 23. AJ Allmendinger, Denny Hamlin in row number 14. Hamlin, a 2012 Atlanta winner in the field. Riley Herbst, Austin Hill starting back in row number 15. Hill, a 5-time Atlanta winner in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series with this configuration. We'll see what he can do in the Cup Series here tonight. Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell will make up row number 16. Both former Atlanta winners. Tyler Reddick won here earlier this season and last spring for Bell. Cole Custer and Zane Smith going to be in row number 17. Row 18, Cody Ware and Noah Gragson, and rounding out the field in row 19 will be BJ McLeod and Chad Fincham. Got 2 of the open entries for this race starting in that last row, so 38-car field for tonight's 400-mile, 260-lap race. Very short first stage of only 60 laps. 160 will be the end of stage 2, so 100 laps and 100 in the final 2 stages. So the short sprint in stage 1, they will not have to pit for fuel or tires. And again, 100 laps in the final 2 stages, they will have to pit at some point in time there. All right. Off to what else we got to go? Standings, point standings entering this weekend. I knew I was missing something. the in-season tournament challenge stuff, I knew I had something extra to throw in there and almost threw out the points. So point standings are scrolling across the top of the screen. All of the points, as far as like the minus on the top of the screen, is going to be behind Denny Hamlin, our points leader, trying to go for that regular season championship. We have 7 races to go in the regular season entering tonight. Of course, 6 when the checkered flag flies. Hamlin has a 44-point lead over Tyler Reddick. He had a 1-point lead going into last week's race. More problems for Reddick with another DNF. Costed him 43 points to Hamlin. Hamlin with a top 5 run in Chicagoland, pretty solid there. Led some laps, decent amount of stage points. And Hamlin, again, 44 points now ahead of Tyler Reddick's second consecutive week. He has been atop the points. Ryan Blaney, the pole sitter tonight, is in third in points. Hasn't won since Phoenix early in the season. He is minus 113, trying to make up some ground. And definitely within a shot of Tyler Reddick for second now at the very least as we get into the waning regular season races. Ty Gibbs, minus 137, is fourth in the point standings entering tonight with a great season. Had a great week at Sonoma a couple weeks ago, winning both stages and getting the race win. And then last week, another top 10 at Chicago. Chase Elliott will round out the top 5 in points, 2 wins earlier in the season, minus 180 from Hamlin. Kyle Larson highest in the point standings without a win. He is 6th in points. Chris Buescher, the only other Ford in the top 10, sits 7th. Chase Briscoe is 8th in points. Carson Hocevar 9th, and Christopher Bell rounds out the top 10 in the standings. Now, just outside the top 10, we got Daniel Suarez 11th, William Byron 12th, Bubba Wallace 13th, and Shane Van Gisbergen 14th. From SVG all the way down to about 22nd in points to Ross Chastain, it is very, very tight. All drivers within 1 race worth of points of each other, so we could see a lot of flipping going on, especially with the drafting oval this evening. So again, Shane Van Gisbergen 14th in points, Austin Cindric 15th, Eric Jones 16th. Jones has the final transfer spot for the chase entering tonight by just 4 points over Ryan Preece. Preece, the first driver out. 3-time Cup Series champion Joey Logano just not having a good season. Only 2 top 5s and 5 top 10s. Leads him 18th in points entering tonight, minus 16 below the cut line, but starting on the front row, this is a good opportunity for him to get quite a few points back. AJ Allmendinger in the tie for 18th with points with Joey Logano, and then Brad Keselowski also having a tough season, another former Cup Series champion. He is 20th in points, and he is coming into the night 19 points below the cut line. Another good drafting oval driver. So there's the points for some late-breaking updates. Here is the TNT broadcast booth. I'll get the raw feedback up and running as well. So you can see the starting lineup again as we're just minutes away from the drop of the green flag.
Then row 11, Todd Gilliland from Sherrill Ford, North Carolina. The 23 of Bubba Wallace from Mobile, Alabama. And then row 12, 2 North Carolina boys, Ty Gibbs, and the 54, the 42 of John Hunter Nemechek. Let's get down to Danielle Morris, Chase Briscoe.
Yeah, he starts 20th tonight, Dale. I talked to his crew chief, James Small, this morning. He called it, quote, a relief to finally get that first win of the season last week in Chicago. The goal tonight, get out of here in one piece. Wants that car unscathed and wants to also gain some stage points. Right now, they're only 3 points out of 7th place in the chase standings. Look for Briscoe and the boys to capitalize on stage points early by gaining track position.
Thank you, Danielle. Back to the starting grid. The teenager in the field, Connor Zillich, the 19-year-old, will start row 13 next to William Byron. Back in row 14, the other end of the spectrum, a couple drivers in their 40s, AJ Allmendinger and Denny Hamlin. Riley Herbst and Austin Hill make up row 15. Austin Hill with 5 O'Reilly wins at this track. Can he conquer it in the Cup Series? Tonight to tell. Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell will make up row 16. Cole Custer, Zane Smith back in row 17. Row 18, we have Cody Ware and Noah Gregson. And rounding out the field in row 19, BJ McLeod and Chad Fincham. For more on the driver of the 24, we'll go down to Shannon Spade. Good evening, Shannon.
Hey there, Stevie. Yes, William Byron starting 24th tonight, the furthest back in the field that he has started here at this racetrack. But don't worry about it. He's got a great set of eyes in the sky, and that is his spotter, Brandon Lines. Lines has led William Byron to both of his victories here at Atlanta and his Daytona 500 championships. Those were 2 of those. He told me this is the toughest place for him to do his job. It's all about painting a picture for his driver so that he can make clear decisions. He says you can't get the information out fast enough, and how about this? He says he has to remind himself to take his finger off of that radio button, because if you hold it down too long, it'll temporarily kick him off. And then you don't want that when William Byron is going for the lead.
would say the spotters didn't sleep well last night, but they should tonight because this place will flat wear you out. Hey, only 3 races to go when it comes to the in-season challenge. We've reached the Elite Eight. Some really good matchups. Let's get more with Mamba Smith. A lot to look at tonight, Mamba.
A lot to look at indeed, Adam. Welcome to another NASCAR Sundays at night. Listen, this moment is seeded number 32. Somehow, some way, 32 has been the lucky number to get through to Indy in the last 2 years. We'll see if that continues. Alex Bowman is the only driver in the last 2 years to make it to the round of 8. They are going for the money. If you want to win, you're going to have to make it through Echo Park Speedway. I talked to Blake Harris earlier. I said, hey, man, does it change your strategy with all this money on the line? He said, nah, we're going for the win. We're going to take care of business. We'll go get that $1 million in Indy.
One of the many things we have learned in the first 2 years of the in-season challenge, you will have some surprises and a couple of more brewing here in 2026. Let's get our race analysis, Steve.
Well, it's a 1.5 mile track that races like a speedway. The draft will be in effect. And with potential weather, halfway will be good enough. So it's a 260 lap race, 130, hard math there, would be official. 60 lap stage 1, both stage 2 and stage 3, both 100 laps. We can run around 70 laps on fuel. Going to be pretty intense from the word go.
So what are we keeping our eye on tonight, fellas?
Well, there's going to be speed first handling, right? What do you want? Absolutely, you want your car to be fast, but does it handle well enough? I don't think anyone knows which is going to dominate the night.
Yeah, and then you got drivers making good decisions on the racetrack, and that plays a little bit into the third point, stage points. I think that's what it's going to be about today for some drivers. Austin Cindric, who is 27 above the cut line. You got Logano 16 below the cut line. Brad Keselowski needs a big day. Can Ross Chastain save his season tonight? All those things are on the table for these drivers, and they're going to go for it.
Let's get an update. Kyle Larson with Marty.
Yeah, Adam, so Dale mentioned weather, Steve mentioned weather, and Cliff Daniels mentioned weather to Kyle Larson. Listen in.
When that felt like talking about way, not knowing how much I would on a not gonna that take that longer, right? That you're not.
No.
Oh man, yeah, like you said, Atlanta already very intense. So if you have in the back of your mind as a driver, hey, we may only have an hour to race here, and that might be it, at least to get to the end of stage 1. Does that change the game behind the wheel?
Just feel like all these drivers are going to be going a little bit harder than they typically would have in races here at the past. We've learned this point system this year. Stage points are so much more important than they've ever been in years past. And so drivers know that they've got to go grab those points if they can. The whole field's going to be trying to funnel into that top 10. Not all of them are going to fit. So I expect the action to be hot and heavy right from the get-go.
And I just, I asked Blaney about how long it would take to get into your rhythm. It still fascinates me. Remember, a couple laps of qualifying, 1 lap if you didn't make the second round, 2 laps if you're in the top 10, right? So now we're going to drop the green, and these are your first real laps in a pack all night long. Let's listen in to Blaney in that 12 car.
All right, everybody, have a great night. Good job. I like that. Great fun.
Let's try to run the whole race. That's it. That tells you all you need to know about the unpredictability of this place.
Well, one of my curiosities going into this is how would drivers manage lane selection at the initial start and on restarts? The initial start obviously only impacts the guy that wins the pole. But Ryan Blaney says, I'm going to go outside here. And with his teammate on the front row with him, man.
All right, so Ryan Blaney elects the outside of row number 1 for the initial start of tonight's race. And the pole sitter, of course, for this one to go along with it. Appreciate everybody tuning in here on this Sunday night NASCAR at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, Echo Park Speedway. I got to get used to that. In Atlanta for tonight's action. 7 races to go in the regular season. Chase spots are limited from here on out. Green flag is in the air. It's going to be a fun night of NASCAR action. Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano hustling down into the first turn. We'll see if those two can get nose to tail, or will they maybe try to stay side by side with one another to try and control the pack early on. Ford as a whole did not dominate qualifying at Atlanta like they have in some years past, but Penske still locking out the front row, showing that they have some fast cars for this evening. Trimmed out on the speed side of things. It'll be interesting to see if they're in traffic at all tonight, how they'll handle there, which I'm sure they will be at some point in time. 3 wide on the outside. Carson Hocevar already trying to make some moves. No surprise there, making those bonsai maneuvers in the opening lap or two of this race. Not a lot of cars really following, though, wanting to take those risks with him, so not a lot of help going on. Ryan Blaney, leader of the opening lap of tonight's race. And sitting out ahead of Austin Dillon, who takes over second, splitting up the Penske Fords as Joey Logano battles for third. And a car against the wall already. Brad Keselowski in the sixth. And he's pointing to try to get down to the inside of the racetrack so he can probably pit next time by. Keselowski with a problem. Was looking forward to having to have a good night tonight, knowing he was 20th in points entering the evening and an early struggle for Bad Brad. Quickly, mostly single file up inside the top 5. Still door-to-door for third between Alex Bowman and Austin Dillon as Logano was able to drive back into second, drafting behind his Penske teammate Ryan Blaney and the 2 Penske Fords. 1-2 controlling the pack at the front of the field after a few laps.
How quickly these runs come and go. Let's see what happens to the 6, bottom right of the screen. Can't tell. Oh, it looked like it got tight first, and then it overcorrect, a big loose wiggle. Kosovar in the picture. Nothing to do with it, I believe, but and he seems to be around all the chaos.
There will be finger pointing.
All right, watch this. Look right on board with the 6, bottom right.
Maybe he gets down in the corner here and just gets a little bit loose right there, Steve. But yeah, there's just not a lot of room to correct the car. Gets into the pits just a little bit. Brad's still on the racetrack, making laps, trying to make sure everything's in good shape. Arnie, what you got on the 6?
Yeah, just to clean it up, that's what Brad said. What you said, Dale, just got too free, as Steve and you pointed out. And he said he described the wall contact as just a brush. But you heard TJ Majors say, feeling it out for now, only 5 laps into the race.
Seems like that there's good comfort in turn 1 and 2 for the cars. They get down into turn 1 and 2. They all stay tight around the bottom of the racetrack. But down in turn 3 and 4, I see a lot of cars in the front, in the middle of the field, drive up the racetrack. They're all chasing the race cars into turn 3. Everyone really uncomfortable. 48 almost flattened his tail right there. Everybody goes into turn 3 not really knowing if the back's going to be underneath the car, and a lot of guys are getting surprises.
13 cautions in the race here last night, and most of the action was over in turns 3 and 4. We'll follow the progress of the drivers there this evening.
And so interesting. Turn 1 and 2, again, more comfort, more grip, not as many moments. Down in 3, you're getting down in that corner. You don't know what you're going to get. And you don't want to be in a bad spot arrow-wise, like the 43 is, of Eric Jones, or the 19. Those are not good spots to be in arrow-wise, tucked in behind cars or in the middle of a 3 wide.
33, Austin Hill turns left. That's the other thing, is this wide straightaway allows you to kind of get 3 wide. There is a
Ryan Blaney leading laps, all of them so far from the pole of the first 8 completed. Austin Cindric in the 2 car for Penske Racing has jumped up into third, so now 1, 2, 3 at the front of the leaderboard, and going to be even easier to maybe take control of things. He started in the 8th place position, so he had to pass a few more cars considering he wasn't near the front row like Blaney and Logano were. So top 5 in the running order last time by at the line had Ryan Blaney in first, Joey Logano second, Austin Cindric third, Kyle Larson sits in 4th, and Daniel Suarez, who started the race in 5th, is still in 5th place, rounding out that top 5. Going to be looking to get to lap number 10 this time by at the start-finish line. A lot of moments where handling is becoming an issue early on. No surprise with that, because last night in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race, again, a record 13 cautions. Very slick track. Most of those incidents taking place by cars just breaking loose in turns 3 and 4. And a breakaway up at the front of the field, also very reminiscent to what we saw last night in the O'Reilly race. Junior Motorsports had the best handling and best speed race cars, were able to stay pretty much 100% throttle, nose to tail, 1 through 4 at the front of the field. They pulled the pack and dominated that second stage. We're seeing Penske do that right now between the 12, 22, and 2. They are breaking away from everybody else. The intervals between the top 10 positions with Blaney in first, only a tenth of a second ahead of Logano, 3/10 ahead of Cindric. Again, those three are nose to tail. Larson a little bit further back right now, kind of in a league of his own, evenly 4/10 behind Cindric and 4/10 ahead of Daniel Suarez. Suarez is 1.1 seconds out of the lead in fifth. Again, you don't see that on drafting ovals often. Austin Dillon's in sixth place, 1.2 back. Second and a half back for Hocevar in seventh. Chase Elliott 1.5 back in eighth. Bubba Wilson ninth, 1.8 seconds out of the leader. Michael McDowell's 2 seconds back in the 10th place position. So very similar to stage 2 last night. And of course, no adjustments have been able to be made yet because there's not been a pit stop. So this might be what the first stage is going to be like if we do go green for 60 consecutive laps. And nobody is going to, as Dale Jr. mentioned moments ago, bust their tail, making a mistake, not having the handling in the race car. Hocevar looking quick, up 8 positions to 6th place from the start of the race. One of the biggest movers already. 14 positions gained for Bubba Wallace as he started 22nd, moved up to 8th. Austin Hill also working his way up there. Again, great at Atlanta in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. No surprise here in the Cup race that he is working his way forward as well. Maybe his best shot to win in that Kyle Busch ride. He is sitting, again, in 10th after starting 30th. William Byron up 14 spots from 26th to 12th. 14 spots gained for Reddick from 31st to 17th. And those are some of the biggest movers in this race. Drivers have gone backwards in the wrong direction. Brad Keselowski, who got against the wall, has lost 24 positions from 10th back to 34th. Todd Gilliland down 12 spots from 21st to 33rd. Stenhouse is down 16 spots to 31st place after starting 15th, and then started 16th was Ty Dillon. He's down 14 spots to 30th. So those are the big comers and goers in the very early laps of tonight's race. Side-by-side commercial break on TNT right now is we're quarter of the way through stage 1, 15 laps in out of 60. Again, they will not have to pit for fuel and tire purposes in this first stage. No practice either, so this is the first laps other than one lap of qualifying that these teams are working their way around the track. And obviously in qualifying, there's no draft, so completely different with the handling side of things. A lot of teams might have just missed the setup and going to have to take some big swings here at lap 60. Other shout-outs to those of you watching the stream that I haven't shouted out yet. We've got AJF, Regine Huddleston, William Walton Jr., Patrick Shadley, Bond 1771, Charles Tinsman, Jay Juarez, Robert Goodrich, Big Bud 369, Roz Riley is back, JoJo, Dad, Steve J. Welcome into the stream, everybody. Jake, thanks for tuning in. Tim Brown, Stuart Gilbert, and others who I went through in the pre-race when we were doing the NASCAR trivia. Thanks for playing along. I'll get the chat poll up and going for who you think is going to win tonight's race. Who wins at Atlanta? Penske's looking good early, so we're definitely going to go Ryan Blaney. Kyle Larson's up there, early on at least. I'll throw Carson Hocevar, who's making a lot of big moves. Reason why I had him in my final 4 in the in-season tournament challenge is because I felt if he got to Atlanta, he was going to have a good shot to win tonight's race and potentially make his way into the next round. So you can vote for who you think is going to win tonight's race. Because I didn't start the poll until after the race began, I will leave it open until we get down to about 50 laps to go tonight. Usually I close it at the end of stage 2. So once we get to about 50 to go, I'll close the chat poll. Hocevar up to 5th place, by the way, just gained another position during the commercial break, getting by Austin Dillon. Not a lot of drafting help. Maybe if he catches Larson, maybe draft up to Larson, get Larson closer to Cindric, and then make the move on the top 3. But Hocevar on his own looking pretty good right now, but the 3 Penske cars looking like the class of the field. 10 minutes in, 20 laps complete.
Talk Wireless. Access every in-car camera with driver data, multi-view, full-team audio, and more. Watch NASCAR Driver Cam all season long only on HBO Max. 19 laps in here at Echo Park Speedway. It continues to be Ryan Blaney showing the way. He's led all of them so far from the pole.
Yeah, that's what's going to be exciting for me is they can run all 60 laps on fuel and tires. The field already spreading out because of handling. Penske cars working together this 5. purposely running up the racetrack for some cleaner air. Yeah, everybody's starting to get a little bit closer. You see the 77 back there, the 3 as well of Austin Dillon. Really fascinating to watch the Penske cars go in the corner and fan out. You know, the 12's kind of running up the racetrack, giving Joey a little clean air. Joey's giving the 2 a little clean air. That's keeping their tires happy, keeping their cars turning. But it's allowing the rest of the field to close the gap just a little bit. What do you have for us, Shannon?
Let's talk about Daniel Suarez, who's currently running 9th, you guys. He was part of that wild finish 2 years ago here at the track. Says he doesn't know why he's been so good. Gives a lot of credit to the cars he's had. His car is pretty good right now. He says it's fast. He is able to hook the line in 3 and 4. But he did say that his rear view camera is vibrating. What does that do for a driver inside the car with such tight quarters?
Well, that rear view camera is an absolute tool that's make it 3 wide. So if there's any sort of issue with it, that really just taking a tool away from the driver. It's probably fine right now, but in those last few laps of the race, when you have to make those aggressive moves, we'll have to see if it bothers the driver in the 7th.
Yeah, they got so accustomed to having such a clear view, having any kind of a blurred view out the back would be tough to be able to know how to defend. Steve Larson now, the Penske cars change what they're doing. Now Larson's going to get to this driver at quarter panel of the 2. When the 12, the lead car, goes up the racetrack at the middle of the corner, that's allowing a draft for this 5 car to utilize. He's drafting a little bit off of the lead car here.
Larson's been pretty patient in that HendrickCars.com Chevy.
He's trying to get to the right rear quarter panel of the 2 car. Now, as the 77 and the 3 close in, that's going to create a little confuse. For the 5, it's going to push this 5 car right around the outside of the 2 as the 77 and the 3 get back there. It's kind of like a beach ball between the 5 and the 77. It'll push that 5 car forward. Who's getting the push here? He's going to block the 5. Now, that's going to really take away comfort and ability for the 5 and get any run that he can put together. So now the 2 went to a defensive line there, Steve, in the middle of the corner that he was not running before.
Yeah, he was just kind of following team orders. Now he has to look out the back and the front, back to the bottom. Just let the 5 climb the hill. The 77 is going to look to the bottom of the 5. We're really just trying to get some clean air. And now it's about trying to get the right push at the right time for these 2 cars.
Hocevar on the move. Here he goes again, diving to the inside of Larson.
He's going to clear Larson. Now Larson's going to push the 77. He might be able to get a run and put that together to be able to go up there and try to battle. Danielle, what you got on the 77?
Man, he's on the move, Dale. He started 14. He's now in the 4th position. His spotter said your pace is really good, but Carson is saying, I didn't think the 3 was fast enough to push me. Now he has the 5 behind him. Dale, what's it like as a driver to feel these guys out and know who you want to work with?
Yeah, you can just kind of see the 77 can wrap the bottom better. Now he's going to pull up alongside the 2. The 77 has better turn. The 5 is struggling with tight. We heard that from Marty earlier. So the 5 car can't make the front turn in the corner. So he can't make these run moves that Hocevar can. So he's struggling just a little bit. Had to lift out of the gas right there, did Larson. Hocevar's like, get up here and help me a little bit. Just need a little help to be able to get by this 2, but Kyle can't run the bottom. The car doesn't turn. The front doesn't work. Going to have to work on that a little bit. So he needs to run this high groove to keep the momentum up and be able to stay in this draft.
I would say Hocevar's personality matches the personality of the new Atlanta. Just wide open, unpredictable. Been doing a good job early, up to 4th. On our last drafting race, you saw the graphic moments ago at Talladega.
How about the last winner here at Atlanta, the 45 of Tyler Reddick? He's up over 20 spots already to the back bumper of the 19, up to the 8th position. That win in the spring was missing a right front there on the warmer racetrack. I think that'd be a little bit harder to do. But the 45 has got it figured out. Yeah. Watch him climb the hill right side of the screen. He kind of goes to the top. He's able to just carry more speed through the middle of the corner, and that gives him a run down the straightaway.
Yeah, you see on the left side of the screen, the 3 of Dillon to the inside of the 5. And this is answering the question you asked earlier, Adam, about the Toyotas that qualified in the back. Was that built-in downforce and drag that maybe made their cars not qualify as well? But now, as we're getting deep into this tire run, the handling comes into play, and they drive to the front.
Let's go down to Shannon, updating Tyler Reddick, 7th now.
Yeah, let's talk about the guy who is on the move right there. Tyler Reddick already up to the 7th position. His crew chief told me even though they qualified back in the field, he felt like the car had speed, said they just got loose in qualifying. Tyler has been pretty quiet on the radio, guys. He said the car's pretty good right now, but it is all about track position, getting to the front, because we know what he could do if he gets there.
Plus 24, going to be plus 25 soon. Incredible start. First half of stage one.
Yes, lap car is creating some dynamic situations right here. Look at the 45 with the momentum. 5 has to get out of the gas, all this dirty air. This car's tight. 45 just full throttle right around the top. I expect Reddick to drive right around these cars and start to go up there and challenge the Penske Fords.
That's what I want to see, right? We have 3 Fords leading the pack. The rest of the Fords kind of back half, back third of the field. So it doesn't look like the Fords have a huge advantage here. It's Team Penske. That's the standout. Can they have the same success if they lose track position? Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll manage the race all night long. But these 3 at the front doing an amazing job.
Ryan Blaney on a career hot streak. Been top 10 last 7 races. That's the best stretch he's ever enjoyed at NASCAR's top level. He's out front right now. Logano, Cindric, Kosovar.
Just keeping that quiet consistency up with the lack of speed for not only Penske but Ford in general this season. There's a reason Ryan Blaney has been third in points all year despite only having the 1 victory. Everybody talking about Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick because they got all those wins so far this season, but Blaney on consistency is right up there just behind them. Obviously a decent amount of points back, over 100 out of first because of Denny Hamlin having 4 wins, Tyler Reddick having 5 wins on the season. But Ryan Blaney, 7 straight top 10s entering this weekend. And a pole tonight, looking for some stage points early on if he can go out and win. Obviously, clean air is king. The only thing for Blaney having the clean air right now, you just don't know what he's going to have for speed in the race car when we get into traffic, if he ends up losing the lead at all, which could very easily happen on pit road. And if those 3 Penske Fords do not find themselves up at the front of the field at the end of stage number 1 through pit stops, will they find themselves up there eventually? Noah Gragson, BJ McLeod, Cody Ware, Chad Fincham have fallen off the lead lap. Todd Gilliland is the last car in the lead lap at 34th. The Keselowski, who brushed the wall just in front of him as they draft together. 26 positions gained for Tyler Reddick from the start of the race. It's the most spots of any driver by far, as he had started in 31st, and he is all the way up to 5th. Carson Hocevar was on the move to get the 4th place, just behind Carson Hocevar and in front of Tyler Reddick. Just behind Austin Cindric and in front of Tyler Reddick. 10 positions gained for Hocevar, and again, 13 for Bubba Wallace and 12 for Briscoe. Those 2 Toyotas are 8th and 9th on the leaderboard as well. Byron Austin Hill up 15 and 18 positions in 11th and 12th place. So in the running order right now, Ryan Blaney leads, Joey Logano in 2nd, Austin Cindric 3rd, Tyler Reddick in 4th, and Carson Hocevar sits 5th. Austin Dillon in 6th with Kyle Larson 7th, Chase Briscoe 8th, Bubba Wallace 9th, and Chase Elliott rounding out the top 10. 11th is William Byron, Austin Hill 12th, Shane Van Gisbergen in 13th, 14th Michael McDowell, and 15th Ty Gibbs. 16th place is John Hunter Nemechek with Christopher Bell 17th, Daniel Suarez 18th, Aaron Jones 19th, and Chris Buescher in 20th. 21st is Riley Herbst, Alex Bowman 22nd, Connor Zilic 23rd, Denny Hamlin 24th, and Josh Berry 25th. 26th is Zane Smith with AJ Allmendinger 27th, Ty Dillon 28th, Cole Custer 29th, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 30th. 31st is Ross Chastain, Ryan Preece 32nd, Brad Keselowski 33rd, and Todd Gilliland 34th with Chad Fincham 35th. 36th, Cody Ware, BJ McLeod 37th, and Noah Gragson rounds out the 38-car field. 22 laps to go in stage 1. We'll take our first break of the stream. You're listening live on KRC to our full flag-to-flag coverage of the Quaker State 400 at Atlanta.
Create the biggest moments in racing on Kalshi. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code TNT to get $10 when you trade $10. Kalshi, trade what's next. You're watching the Quaker State 400, available at Walmart. 22 to go, stage 1.
And 45 cars on the scene. We talk about Tyler Reddick. This 45 not only has decent speed, but outstanding handling. He's the first driver to really put a move on these 3 Penske cars. It's going to be tough, though, without somebody pushing him.
Yeah. Cindric's kind of been the blocker for the 3 Penske Fords, and he's getting a little bit tired of doing his job. He wants to get up here, and he's kind of pretty much
77.
that's
There you
a
go.
good idea. 77 needs to get up there a little bit. There's nobody behind him either to really help him build some momentum. Here comes the 5 back on the scene. He's passed Austin Dillon. The 5 car, Larson's went way up the racetrack to find a little bit of turn. Best way to find an ally is to have like enemies. And right now, that's what they're trying to do. Yeah, Larson got a great run from the top of the racetrack to the inside of Hocevar down there, so he takes that spot away. Hocevar fades just a little bit. Front row Fords struggling. We've already seen the 4 of Noah Gregson go down a lap. Now we see the 34 of Gilliland also struggling.
Next car that would be in line to go a lap down, Brad Keselowski, who had those early problems.
Reddick using the 6 car as a tow right here. I think he was looking up. But unfortunately, he's going to have to get back in line, I think, to get by the 6.
Another car. Denny Hamlin not able to climb through the field. Our points leader sit back there in 23rd position. Marty, what you got on the 11?
Yeah, Dale, to your point, the other side of the regular season championship battle, Denny Hamlin's gone nowhere. 5 spots gained for Hamlin, and that is it. And what the odd part is that I talked to Chris Gale before the day started, and he said, we have really struggled to know what to give Denny here setup-wise. So we migrated closer to what the 45 and 23 have. Worked for them. It has not worked for Hamlin so far. His quote to the team a moment ago, very edgy on the extremities and too tight at max load.
Well, we got a long way to go, but points the name of the game. Reddick got a great shot to get some here.
Yeah.
With only 18 to go stage 1, here he goes after the 2.
Yeah, he shoved that 2 down into turn 3, but I think the momentum from the top is going to help the 2 maintain the position. He's going to try to side draft and slow him down. The 5 of Larson's coming onto the scene. Larson to the inside, maybe 3 wide here. Larson has to back out. Reddick back to the bottom. The racetrack can't quite clear the 2. Reddick's like, if you'd have just pushed me, I'd have gone by the 2.
Those guys getting racy.
It's awesome line right here. This 5 car's running. He's going to have a great run down this front straightaway. I'll be interested to see if he does much with it. Found something right there at the top of the racetrack up against the wall. Has to lift, allowing the 45 to run the top, so he has to go somewhere else to get that clean air. The 45 with a big run down the back straightaway going to the inside. Going to side draft a little bit down the back straightaway, not going to clear the 2. 2's going to drag him back a little bit on the quarter panel. Going to run him tight here to try to side draft and keep that 45 from clearing. Ready up the racetrack.
Wow.
Contact right there.
That was close.
Again, here comes a 5. Going to go 3 wide once more.
5's got a big run, though. He's got to clear the 45. Will he get the 2? Can he slide him in front of Cindric? He will.
He got him both.
Savar, he said, I'm going to join the party. Looking down low on Reddick.
What a move by Larson. And there you go. Mission accomplished. One of the Penske Fords split up from the trio.
I mean, it didn't take them 4 or 5 laps before they were 1, 2, 3 in a running order. And now finally we've got someone up there in between, and with Larson jumping to 3rd.
Larson back to the inside here for 2nd. Got a good push off the nose of the 2 down the front straightaway. Got the momentum into the corner. Can he wrap it? He's going to clear the 22. Logano tied up the racetrack.
You called it. It's all the top at 3 and 4. Watch where Larson goes right here down in 3 and 4. He has been running the absolute top of the racetrack. This time, Blaney goes up. Larson goes higher, all the way to the wall.
22 down low. Not much to stretch this 5 car.
13 to go in this opening stage. Blaney has led them all, but he's got some fast ones behind him. Larson is there. Reddick has turned it up.
Side by side off the corner. Larson is going to get to the quarter panel. Side draft the 12 car down the back straightaway. He's going to move away into turn 3. Wrap the corner. He's clear if he wants it. 12's coming back on the outside. Side by side down the front straightaway here.
Tyler Reddick is on the middle
On
of the third.
for the race lead. 12 to go in the stage. Blaney back out in front. And now Reddick right in their hip pocket.
Oh, we're racing right now.
Hey, cut the 45 off right there, Adam.
And keep in mind, the white and yellow line out of bounds. You go down there and advance your position, you will be penalized.
3 wide back there with Hocevar with a move to the inside. He's going to carry that momentum around the 2, but he's not going to clear the 22. Here comes the 45 to the inside for second on Larson. Reddick trying to clear. Going to clear Larson right there. Reddick into second.
This puts Reddick at plus 29. Qualified outside the top 30 yesterday. But we talked about it. Toyota's not great in the qualifying session. But boy, Reddick has come to play tonight.
It's allowed the 12 car to drive away. They're going to run him down, though, quickly. Him out there running by himself.
Cindric faded back to sixth. Blaney continues to lead, but Reddick is there. The end of the stage when we return on TNT.
Only about 10 laps remaining in stage number 1 here at Atlanta. Ryan Blaney, your race leader, with Tyler Reddick in second, Kyle Larson third, Joey Logano fourth, and Austin Cindric rounding out the top 5 and 5th. 6th place is Carson Hocevar with Austin Dillon 7th, Chase Briscoe in 8th, Chase Elliott 9th, and Bubba Wallace rounding out the top 10. Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick, both working the outside lane of the racetrack to perfection. We've seen a lot of great action up at the front of the field with these top 6 or 7 cars that are now in the lead pack after catching the 3 Penske Fords that dominated the first 3 quarters of this opening stage. Ryan Blaney still the leader, has led every lap of this one. We saw for a faint moment Kyle Larson get to the inside, but he could not complete the pass, and I don't believe he actually led a lap at the line either. Blaney, has still led them all 53 that have been completed out of 60 in stage 1, and we'll see if he can hold on. Still caution-free in this one so far, as well as we're only a little less than a half hour in, about to wrap up this opening stage, which was already going to be short, but with the fast pace here at Atlanta, with the drafting oval, and even with the draft kind of getting broken apart, if you will, up at the front of the field, and not what we've seen in the past, I should say specifically, the field getting broken up a little more. The speeds are still there. 30.462 was the fastest lap by Blaney, and that was on lap 49. So even though the car, it goes through some changes, handling changes that is, gets looser, gets tighter the further into the run we go, the actual lap times themselves not really making much of a difference between the front half or the back half of the run. It's more just drivers trying to find a way to make speed, like Larson is through 3 and 4, getting as close to the wall as he possibly can. Blaney saw that and tried to take that line away whenever Reddick or Larson, whoever's behind him in second place, goes to the wall. Going to make it more difficult for him. Of course, Blaney's car going to handle best of anybody, having that clean air advantage. And usually on the super speedways, you don't see clean air being the king necessarily, like this single file on the super speedways in the next gen era, but I think just the culmination of speed for the 12 alone probably helping with that. Reddick into that middle to upper groove of the racetrack. Blaney wrapping the bottom on the white line. Down the back straightaway they go.
It's on TNT back in Atlanta. Xfinity fastest lap belongs to Tyler Reddick. Springtime winner here on the move, up to second here behind Blaney.
We're going to have an epic battle for this stage win right here. We've talked about Reddick's loss of the point lead. Denny Hamlin hired back in the 19th position. I don't believe he's going to score stage points. Reddick is thinking 10 if I could get by Blaney in this 12th car. A couple other cars that possibly will be happy about the finish of the stage in the top 10. You got to look at Logano, Cindric, even Hocevar, Briscoe, Chase Elliott, Bubba Wallace, all those guys trying to gather as many points as they can. A lot of cars around them in the points, not up at the top 10, able to capitalize.
My brother's onboard camera. Talk about Logano. Came in below the cut line by 16. Looking back at his teammates, Cindric came in plus 27. You see the balance of the bubble here. And a couple of guys have gone a lap down around the bubble. We talked about Brad Keselowski. Add Ryan Treese to that group. Ross Chastain a lap down, as will be 2 to go stage 1 here.
Blaney's just having to look in the mirror and run defense. You see him go up the racetrack, 45 up the track, I'm going up the track. 45 down the track, I'm going down the track. And here comes the 45, uses the momentum from the high side of turn 3 and 4, gets to the inside. Can he wrap the bottom? He's got the momentum. He's going to almost clear. Blaney's going to stay on the right rear quarter panel down the back straightaway.
Wow, that was close.
Slow him down with the side draft.
Have some lap cars in front of them as well. Going to be one to go on the stage here. Team Penske has won stage one in 5 of the last 7 at Atlanta.
And I actually think the lap cars are an advantage to Blaney. I think he's getting the drag on the cars up the road. So
1 lap to go in stage 1. Ryan Blaney versus Tyler Reddick at the front of the field, and 2 lap cars in the way of the leaders as they work their way through turns 1 and 2. Down on the bottom of the racetrack are the lap cars. Blaney around the top. Reddick is going to have to follow the 12th car. Heading into turns 3 and 4. Reddick going to get picked behind the car on the inside as Blaney goes wide. Great defensive move by Ryan Blaney. Reddick was forced to lift with the lapper in the way, and Ryan Blaney will hold on to win stage number 1 at Atlanta, leading all 60 laps of the race thus far. Tyler Reddick second, Kyle Larson third, fourth for Joey Logano and Austin Cindric rounding out the top 5 in 5th. Carson Hocevar 6th, Austin Dillon 7th, Chase Briscoe 8th, Chase Elliott 9th, and Bubba Wallace gets the final stage point in 10th. A lot of pressure put to Ryan Blaney, but he was just able to hold on from late fights by both Tyler Reddick and Kyle Larson for the stage win and the race lead. Blaney holds on, showing qualifying, working out well for him. Had the lead, never lost it. Tyler Reddick didn't need good qualifying to get a good stage finish, though. From 31st place, finishes second in stage 1. 29 positions gained from the start of the race for that 45 car. And on the regular season championship run, the second and third place drivers in points finish first and second in the stage, while the points leader, Denny Hamlin, doesn't get any points, finishing 19th in stage 1. That means Reddick's gap is going to be down to 35 points. Entering stage 2, he came in minus 44. And Ryan Blaney, who entered the day minus 113, is now going to be minus 103 entering stage 2. All right. Wayne Martin, thanks for tuning in. Irina Sayre, welcome into the stream as well. Connor Burke and many others, if I haven't shouted you out. Appreciate you all tuning in. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done so yet. And subscribe for more NASCAR content. We're live every NASCAR race weekend for Truck, O'Reilly, and Cup Series action. North Wilkesboro Speedway next Sunday night for the NASCAR Cup Series. The next race of the schedule. First ever points race at North Wilkesboro. Well, I should say the first ever, but the first since 1996 at North Wilkesboro Speedway. 20 years in the making between points paying races there. And that should be a fun one. Again, that is going to be next Sunday night in North Carolina. Truck Series will be on next Saturday afternoon at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Going to be a hot, slick race there in the heat of the day. And then the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series will be off next week. So it'll be just truck and cup action at North Wilkesboro. And O'Reilly won't be back until Indianapolis the following week. So again, Ryan Blaney, stage 1 winner from the pole. First pit stops of the race are going to be coming up during the stage break. I'll let you listen in to the pit stop reports when they do come back from commercial. Blaney closing in on about 400 laps led on the season by leading 60 of them there. He's going to be up to 379 under the caution itself now, up over 380. He's got the fifth most laps led on the season. But he, with the laps led today, is less than 40 laps away from both Bell and Reddick, who would be third and fourth most laps led on the season in that statistical category.
Restreet.com.
You never know. If you're looking at that view right now, I'm on top of the building. It's amazing up here to watch this race from. Right behind me, actually, you guys can see it. The spotters for the Cup Series drivers are right over here. I actually just watched the spotter for the number 45 of Tyler Reddick and the spotter for Ryan Blaney, Tim Frito. They just had a little chat. all good racing and fun up here. They're having a good time watching this race and working their tails off over here. But actually, when I talked to Tyler Green, the spotter for Carson Hocevar, I said, man, what's the toughest place about this place? He said it's turn 4. He said it's really hard to clear cars when they're so tight coming off of turn 4. And guys, honestly, we see that a lot. That's where the most incidents happen. It seems to be off of turn 4, Adam.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to manage from the spotter stand and how the game changes here just because as we talk about so much, how quickly things unfold.
Yeah, we talk a lot about real estate on the racetrack. I will point out, just before we get to these pit stops, 30 cars on the lead lap. These are the shortest pit boxes of the season. So when you think about big mile-and-a-half racetrack that doesn't jump out, you think Martinsville or Bristol. But just keep in mind, a very long pit roads, we see a lot of speeding penalties and very clear communication in and out of the pit box. Not a lot of real estate.
Blaney lead them down. Reddick, Larson, Logano, Cindric, the top 5. Execution so big here. You get control of the race. Now you want to maintain it. Making their way to the traditional pit road. Here's Shannon.
Yeah, Adam, from 31st to 2nd, what a run for Tyler Reddick. He has cut into that points lead Denny Hamlin had by just 9 back right now. He said the car is loose, but it got better as the track went on and rubbered up a little bit, got a little bit tighter. So they're just going to do 4 tires and wait on fuel, Danielle. Same for Carson Hocevar. A fantastic first stage. Started 14th, got up to 6th. They're taking 4 tires, 2 cans of fuel. They told Carson, you'll be waiting on fuel, not go on the jack man, go on the fuel man. Anthony pursued. Marty?
Kyle Larson said it was really lane dependent for his handling. Too tight on the bottom. The middle and the top were much more neutral. Wire to wire for Ryan Blaney, bottom of your screen for the stage 1 win. He said, start 3 with this long grip and a great win. Interesting how big of a swing the handling move was.
Blaney has the number 1 pit stall after winning the pole, but he goes back 2 as Reddick jumps in front of Larson as the first 2 out. Dillon comes out behind him, and there you see the difference coming off the pit lane. Ryan Preece gets the free pass and he's back on the lead lap. Stage 2 next on TNT.
Well, there you have it. Tyler Reddick wins the race off of pit road. He'll be the new leader, and these will be the first laps not led by the 12 car here tonight after he had dominated stage 1, leading every lap from the pole. Blaney rolled off pit road in 3rd, losing 2 positions, probably because of leading all those laps and running with more fuel, not having to lift as much. I would assume he probably had to wait on gas just a little bit longer, adding for the slow stop. So Tyler Reddick, Kyle Larson beat him out of the pits. Blaney will be 3rd. First time we're going to see him in traffic today. I know he's only out of the front row by a couple positions, but that does matter. And we'll see how good handling or maybe bad handling that 12 car is. He's going to be a little bit behind everybody else when it comes to making adjustments on the car because he hasn't been in traffic. So probably better that that's happening now versus if he were to lead like the first 200 laps of the race and then fall out of the lead, would probably have a little bit of a harder time. But it could be wrong. It could be just as fast in traffic. Again, we'll just have to wait and see. But Tyler Reddick and Kyle Larson, they were finding some speed up on the outside of the racetrack in turns 3 and 4 specifically. Just kind of starting about a lane and a half off the wall, drifting up center of the corner as close to the wall as possible, and then getting the run off the banking from there. Especially when they had clean air on the nose and the car in front of them was not able to run that lane. Get a little bit of a push in the draft if you can get multiple cars going in a correct moving forward facet, and that could be the culmination needed to actually get by the 12th car if Blaney's able to get back to the lead again. Because when Reddick was trying to make those moves, it was on his own, and kind of the same for Larson a couple laps before that. John Barber, thank you for the $20 super chat. Looks like 50-50 chance of thunderstorms tonight, dude. Yeah, well, we'll hope we get this all in. Obviously, with lights at the racetrack, that could wait if it does go into a delay, but hopefully we just get it all in tonight. In fact, to make this race official, we would have to get to halfway because that would be before the end of stage 2, so we would have to get to lap 130 to make the race official if it does rain. Go back to the race leaderboard here and see what the race off of pit road was. So Tyler Reddick won the race out of the pits. Kyle Larson will be second on the restart. Ryan Blaney now in third, with Austin Dillon fourth, Christopher Bell fifth, Carson Hocevar sixth, Austin Cindric seventh, Joey Logano eighth, Chase Briscoe ninth, and Bubba Wallace rounds out the top 10 with Ty Gibbs and Chase Elliott sitting 11th and 12th. We'll also take a look now at the in-season tournament challenge based off of the first stage and where those drivers are running versus one another. This is the round of 8 of the in-season tournament challenge, and I'll actually go through that on the restart as a back from commotion.
But Tyler Reddick goes from 31st to second, Jamie. He is moving on rails.
He has. Blaney's going to have his hands full because Reddick obviously now has the lead. You see the positions he's gained. Bell, another car that's moved up. Bubba Wallace. What I see right there, a lot of Toyotas. We talked about the speed they've had all year long. They didn't qualify well. They have great handling cars, Jeff, and that is key tonight.
Handling is the key tonight. It reminds me of Daytona, the 90s and early 2000s. Cars that drive well, they go to the front. Ross Chastain, he was so bad in the first stage, he actually got lapped, Ryan. Priest got lapped, he just got back in the lead lap. But the guys that are struggling, it could be a long night.
Tyler Reddick wins the race off pit road. He seems to be in position, Adam. Dale, it is amazing how fast Tyler Reddick is right now.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive that that team nailed the setup as well as they did. A lot of teams, they would come down pit road. Everybody worked on their race cars. We might see some cars improve, some new players start to move toward the front of the field. I know a lot of guys were dying to get to pit road. We've seen a ton of cars not driving too good that first stage.
Yeah, so the adjustments are going to be huge. And when we looked at pit road, it didn't shock me that Blaney lost the lead. Look, you want to lead. He's led 64 laps, but he was out there wide open, burning gas. So that 12 car probably needed a little bit more gas on his pit stop. For that reason, he lost a couple spots, but no harm, no foul. Still third. Now the question is, where do you pick?
Coming up to the choose, you'll see them go to the inside and the outside, picking their lines on how they want to do this. A lot of Chevrolets down there on the inside. First 3 rows. The whole series has Penske Ford's busted up. Can they keep it that way for the remainder of this race? It'll be tough for them to get it all back together.
Let's get a little Chase Briscoe radio here.
That means no.
Is that Australia for go? I was just making sure James. I want to clear that up.
I like that. Yeah, Briscoe wants to know if we're racing for the win, halfway being the end of the race. Well, I think you'll see the entire field do that. This is possibly racing toward the halfway mark, and you want to be in the best position you can when the rain's coming.
93 to go in this stage. They cannot run that far in fuel. So there's going to be a whole mixed up plan. But I'm with you. I think you gotta get going.
I want to go back and confirm what you said earlier, too. This is an official race at lap 130. So as we start talking about the weather, the role it will play, and how you manage this second stage, 130 is the number to watch in that regard. Outside lane, Lace Reed, the race leader in control car, Tyler Reddick, to his inside, Kyle Larson. Stage 2.
All right, here we go. Green flag is back in the air. Tyler Reddick, Kyle Larson up at the front of the field. Blaney, the push car on the outside behind Reddick, giving him out in front of the pack into turns 1 and 2, while Blaney and Larson will have to battle for second for the time being. Larson didn't get as good of a push from Austin Dillon in the 3 down on the inside, but with the shortest way around the racetrack on the bottom, Larson does pull back to the inside of Reddick out of turn 2. Down the back straightaway, the 5 cars got the nose out in front. A second surge, and we'll see if he can get clear of the lead. Reddick with momentum off the high side is going to carry that off turn 4. He'll lead the opening green flag lap of the stage. Larson trying to go up and block Blaney for second, nearly making contact, and now Larson's in the middle. 3 wide between Austin Dillon and Ryan Blaney into turn number 1. Austin Dillon will come away with second. Blaney now falls to third. Hocevar to the inside, battling Larson for 4th. And Austin Dillon with a run to the back bumper of the 45 of Reddick will take to the inside, but might have waited a little bit too late at the end of the back straightaway to make that move. He's not going to be able to complete the pass, but he is going to stay side by side as they cross the start-finish line. Hocevar with more momentum. 3 wide to the bottom goes Hocevar. That will be for second as Austin Dillon fell out of the lead fast by the end of the front stretch. Hocevar to the inside of Blaney for second, while Reddick still leads at the front of the field. 2 by 2 through most of the top 10 behind the race leader Tyler Reddick as they cross the start-finish line. Reddick leads. Ryan Blaney in second. Carson Hocevar sits in third. Fourth for Kyle Larson. This time by the line, it was Reddick first, Blaney second, Hocevar third. Yes, fourth Larson and Austin Dillon rounding out the top 5 and fifth. And Dillon in the sucker hole right in the middle, going backwards. 3 wide middle with no help. Went from side by side from the lead about a lap and a half ago now to falling back fast. Hocevar only car down on the bottom as single file for about the top 5 or 6 outside of the 77 of Hocevar on the inside remained in that top line. Ryan Blaney looking to take the lead back away from Tyler Reddick after Reddick won the race off pit road. Blaney is clear in the middle of 1 and 2, and Larson drafts behind Blaney on that double white line to the bottom of the track through 1 and 2. He also was clear of Reddick for second. Chase Briscoe, last week's winner, Chicagoland, up to a race high 4th place position. Hocevar in the middle behind Elliott going backwards and falling out of the top 5 fast. Eric Jones in the top 10 for the first time today in the Legacy Motor Club 43 car.
Jones on the top of it going by. You see the 3 car using the top of the racetrack. Make it smooth. They're still 3 wide off the turn 2. Almost 3 wide for the lead there. Larson around the top. He might get some help from Reddick here to be able to take the lead.
Marty talked before we went green about Kyle Larson. And even though things have not gone his way in the draft here at Echo Park Speedway, he's been a huge endorser of this place. Said he likes this style. He spent a lot of time at the front. And here's driver 5 going for the lead.
Toyotas have cycled towards the front, though. We now have a Toyota 3rd, 4th, 6th, 7th, 8th.
Xfinity on board, ride with Wallace. One of those Toyotas that's found his way into the mix.
Back to 2 even lanes here, still out there 45.
Freddie Kraft on the roof for Bubba Wallace on that 23. Put a lot of work into their speedway racing and their communication.
An update on that 23 team. What's going on, Bubba Wallace, Danielle?
Yeah, interesting that Steve just mentioned that relationship between driver and spotter. I was talking to Charles tonight, Bubba's crew chief, this morning. I said, what makes Bubba so good on drafting tracks? He said not only his instinct, but Freddie. They've been together 17 years. Pretty remarkable. All the way back to Bubba's trucking days. They know each other very well.
It's about more than just information, Danielle, right? It's about anticipation. You're almost clearing what your driver wants to do, not just what he's doing. When it works well, and it's so impressive, Larson clears up in front of Blaney. Little less separation now. You can say everybody's worked on their cars. Handling's gotten a little bit better. We're not seeing as much separation at the front. That's far into the wall off of turn 4, Steve. Tight contact. Let's see if it does any more damage to that 77. I was mentioning no track also probably cooling, which is helping. Blaney says it doesn't. I'm just going to go back.
You want to lead? Okay, I'll take it back here. 12 strong tonight. Started on the pole.
Big run by Hocevar down the back straightaway now into 3rd position. The 77's gained several spots. He's to the inside of the 5 now for 2nd. That 77's working around the bottom of this racetrack.
1 lap, you kiss the wall. Next lap, you're thinking about the runner-up spot. Here's the 77 dancing around Larson.
Not able to make the pass. Now he's in a bad spot. The 5 and 45 on the outside. Probably going to grieve a minute to go down the back straightaway. He's going to hang on the inside, though, this 5 car.
And it said Chase Elliott's name a lot tonight. He's up there in the top 10. 2 wins this year. 2 wins in the draft at Echo Park Speedway.
This car just needs some help. Somebody on that inside line to get up there and give him a little push. A friend, you might say. You're saying he needs a friend? Yeah, he needs a buddy. It's going to be tough to be able to clear this 5 car.
I love how drivers put their differences aside when they need a shove in the draft. We'll see who reaches out here.
The inside, almost clearing the 5. He can't quite do it.
How about that black car with the yellow hood about 5 cars back on the outside? SVG in the 97 getting
All right, here we go. 22 laps complete in stage 2 and 82 laps complete in the race out of 260. Again, 100 laps in stages 2 and 3 tonight, 60 in the opening stage. Ryan Blaney back in the lead. He has led for 70 laps today. Carson Hocevar looking to take it down to the inside as he gets to second, passing Kyle Larson currently through turns 3 and 4. We'll highlight the in-season tournament challenge here, and based off of the finish of stage number 1 and where the head-to-head battles are, Ryan Blaney going up against William Byron tonight. We have not really seen Byron in the top 10. Blaney currently the leader. And as we try to find the 24 car in the running order, Byron is sitting 19th. So Blaney looking good so far in the first half of today's race. And then a battle, of course, between Chase Elliott, Chase Briscoe, both up inside the top 10 at the moment. Briscoe was in 4th a few laps ago and actually has fallen back to 18th in the draft quietly. And Chase Elliott is still in the top 10 and 7th. So Elliott winning that battle head-to-head for the time being. The head-to-head battle between Alex Bowman, Todd Gilliland. Gilliland, I believe, went a lap down at the end of stage 1. So he's in trouble right now to try to advance to the next round. All the Front Row Motorsport Fords fell a lap down in the opening stage. So 31st on back, a lap down. Gillen is 34th of those cars. Alex Bowman in the 48 is still on the lead lap. And Bowman is actually trying to work himself forward to from the pack. I think I skipped him in the running order. Bowman 24th, but he is still on the lead lap, which right now that might be all he needs to do to advance into the final 4 of the in-season tournament. And Denny Hamlin in the final battle against his teammate Christopher Bell. And Bell is up inside the top 5 for the first time in 5th. Denny Hamlin finished 19th at the end of stage 1. He is 13th, which is a race high. Slow, methodical gain by Hamlin through the field. Commercial break right now, side by side on TNT. We'll go through the full field running order. Carson Hocevar out in front of the field with Ryan Blaney in 2nd, Tyler Reddick 3rd, Kyle Larson in 4th, and Chase Elliott rounding out the top 5 in 5th. Eric Jones in 6th with Christopher Bell 7th, Bubba Wallace 8th, John Nemechek 9th, and Joey Logano rounding out the top 10. Austin Cindric in 11th, Shane Van Gisbergen in 12th, Denny Hamlin 13th, Ty Gibbs 14th, and Michael McDowell 15th. 16th is Austin Dillon, Ty Dillon 17th, 18th Josh Berry, William Byron 19th, and Riley Herbst 20th. 21st, Chase Briscoe, Daniel Suarez 22nd, Chris Buescher 23rd, Alex Bowman 24th, and Austin Hill in 25th. 26 is Ryan Preece with Connor Zilic 27th, AJ Allmendinger 28th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 29th, and Cole Custer in 30th. 31st, Ross Chastain is currently the first car 1 lap down with Zane Smith in 32nd, Brad Keselowski 33rd, Todd Gilliland 34th, Noah Gragson 35th, Cody Ware 36th, Chad Fincham 37th, and BJ McLeod rounding out the 38 car field. That is your running order currently in the Quaker State 400, about a quarter of the way through stage number 2 at Atlanta. And we will be back live here on KRC for our full flag-to-flag coverage.
And just as I say that, here comes Tyler Reddick. Look at the 45, just dancing off the corner. Oh, clear, maybe not.
He could have taken it. He was clear momentarily, but the 77 is going to get out there and go by. 3 wide, Bubba Wallace around his teammates. And Blaney into 2nd place.
Slingshot 23 making moves. And earlier, Eric Jones was the best qualifier. When you talk about the Toyotas, he was quiet in stage 1. After rolling off 11, that green and white machine looking good now.
3 wide. 45 car here. Tyler Reddick got into the fence. We mentioned when the 77 hit the wall right behind him. Tyler also drives into the fence. Very light contact. Looking at the side of the car. Doesn't look like there's any damage. Just a little scrape or 2. Shannon, what you got on the 45?
Yeah, Dale, such a flawless stage 1 for this 45 team, but you just saw he brushed the wall, immediately radioed this into his team.
Okay.
gosh, you can go very, very fast. Remember, guys, he won this race earlier this year without a right front fender. Obviously, doesn't want to have to do that again. So far, fast, maybe just a little damage.
Yeah, best look right there on board with Kyle Larson.
Just a little scratch.
It looks good. Side by side with another teammate there. The Toyota teammate of Christopher Bell had him in a little bit of a tough spot. He got real tight. These guys are getting up off the corner and gets real tight off of turn 4. More contact with the wall, which provides. That's all similar to what we're seeing with the 45 and 77. Just loosen the nose a little bit, misjudge it maybe. That ball kind of wraps back in a little bit toward you on corner exit.
Fascinating as this stage continues to run 92 laps complete.
Oh, somebody's in the wall back in the field. Looks like it's Ty Dillon or Ty Gibbs, I believe, the 45 or might have been 35 car here. Riley Herbst, yeah, he had very similar looking race car, but he got into the wall quite a bit harder, middle of the corner, but continues on.
William Byron takes advantage. Daniel Suarez waiting there. And just outside the top 15 as we go back to the front. Hocevar, Blaney, Bubba Wallace, Kyle Larson. Here comes Christopher Bell. 4 runner-up finishes this year for driver 20. Got that banged up wrist. But boy, has he been playing strong in the summertime, despite the injury that he suffered at Michigan.
Now it's starting to go away on these cars. You see them using up a lot of racetrack. The 22 Logano's having a lift right there. Down here in 3 and 4, they're starting to drive up the track into the door of each car on the outside line. Getting into the tire run here, losing some balance, losing some comfort. Makes me nervous.
This race just promotes anxiety. Top the in-season challenge, some great matchups. Briscoe and Elliott going head-to-head. The teammates Hamlin and Bell. Really good from Byron and Blaney. And the upset special, Bowman, 24th, Todd Gilliland, 34th right now. Trying to advance to the final 4. We'll give away $1 million in Indianapolis. Look at this.
Like Larson got to the fence again. This feels like something's about to give here.
Win the race. You want to get stage points. For some, maybe you want to advance in the in-season challenge. All of that stress and anxiety, you add to that the weather. I mean, just so much to be thinking about tonight. Blaney is in control. As Wallace and Hocevar continue to do battle for second. Let's go to a report on William Byron in the 24, Shannon.
Yeah, William Byron started 26. He told me it would take about 10 to 15 laps to figure out what kind of car he had, guys. He's figured it out. He doesn't like it, and he is having a conversation with Rudy Fugle about it right now.
This is Sturger. I heard this. Okay, I heard this. We got it. I'm not running left right now. Right off there. So the car there going, trying to like the podcast.
Two-time Atlanta winner right there. That's William Byron. Steve Dale, I bet you guys never had conversations like that, right?
We didn't. No, he would not allow it. Yeah, he and Tony Jr. had a lot of conversations like that, but not Steve.
Well, I tell you, that's a guy that's 12th in the chase standings. Hasn't won a race this year. Like, we talk about that. Dale, you and I know that pressure in that garage is real. The summer is here. The chase is around the corner. You drive for one of the premier teams. You have us on the victory lane like that. That's real internal pressure.
And you're coming off a week when you felt like you took a major step, led more than 90 laps, swept the stages, and finished top 5 at Chicagoland. Hit 40 laps gone by at our second stage. Blaney, Wallace, Bell, Hocevar, Reddick, the top 5. It's NASCAR on TNT.
All right. Well, Ryan Blaney back in the lead again as he's led down for 79 laps today. Bubba Wallace to a race high second place position. And Tyler Reddick sits third with Christopher Bell fourth. Chase Elliott rounding out the top five in fifth. Sixth is Eric Jones. Carson Hocevar seventh. Kyle Larson in eighth. Joey Logano ninth. And Ty Dillon rounding out the top 10. All of the top 10 within a second and a half of the race lead, and about a 1 second split back to the seventh place car, currently Carson Hocevar, who was leading off and on again moments ago. Going to the last car in the lead lap, about a 6.1 second difference. In the lead pack right now, they're pretty much evenly spaced apart, but not as spaced apart as they were back at stage one. I think the adjustments made during the stage break definitely helping the field stay together a little bit longer into this next green flag run. The track temps are falling down a bit as we get into the nighttime sky as well, so maybe not quite as slick. Track is picking up rubber as well, adding even more grip. So not as much separation, but it's still those fast cars that were gaining a lot of spots in that first stage. The Toyotas, of course, Ryan Blaney and the Penske Fords all up inside the top 10 still. Though Cindric for Penske has actually fallen back a bit. Joey Logano restarted in the 8th place position, only lost one spot back to 9th. And then for Cindric, he is back to 15th. So Blaney's still holding on strong up at the front of the field. Newcomer Shane Van Gisbergen up inside the top 10 now. That 97 car, he led some laps at Atlanta earlier in the spring, so he's showing out. Of course, one of those Chase Bubble drivers looking to have a good run here tonight to try to help himself out into the final 6 races of the regular season to see if he can qualify for the chase straight up on points. 8 lead changes. Our only caution was the lap 60 stage break so far. No incidents to record, so 7 laps of caution during that stretch and just over an hour into today's race to complete 104 out of 260 laps. We'll take another break. You're listening live. KRC, our full flag-to-flag coverage of the Quaker State 400 continues. "25 laps away from halfway to make tonight's race official if it does rain." A little bit of a precursor on that. So very close to making the race official here this evening. Going to go onto my Weather Channel app to see where exactly storms are at. I'll check during the next commercial break.
Make another wait title live on TNT, True TV, and streaming on the Zone.
The zone.
55 laps to go, stage 2, and there is much going on.
All right, I'll pull the weather up now. Just getting there. Clouds are getting a bit darker. That's where I live. Got to go down to Hampton, Georgia. Hampton, Georgia. It says rain expected about 8:45. Very light until about 10 p.m. So it could be hit or miss. It's going to be very, very spotty up through 10 p.m. tonight. Hopefully it misses. That would be fantastic. If it does. I'm trying to get out of the phone's acting slow. I'm trying to get out of the Weather Channel app. I lost the race. We are under caution for the first time today for a not stage yellow. Trying to get the race back up and running again.
We also learned during the Coke 600 that if the meteorologist say, hey, that lightning is moving away. There used to always be a 30-minute hold. Now that's not necessarily how NASCAR evaluates this, depending on which direction the weather system is moving.
That's correct. It's I kind of prefer this honestly, as opposed to what Josh you were describing, Steve, with the race getting toward the halfway point, potentially becoming official, but also having a pit cycle right on top of that. And if we would have got rain in the middle of all of that mess, could have had some sort of a fluke result of the game, right, or the race. And I think we want the opportunity to really truly run this out.
Caution number 1 comes at the end of the opening stage. Caution number 2 for weather here in the middle portion of stage 2. Free pass goes to Ross Chastain. Crazy Chastain had fallen a lap down after qualifying inside the top 10, and this has been a track that's been remarkable for him, as now all the cars come down the pit lane.
The only Ford that was able to really stay in that top 5 was the 12 of Blaney. You see his teammates slowly starting to slip out of the top 10. 22 Logano in 9th, Cindric in the 2. They were not able to really get back up there and join his teammate up at the front of the field.
NASCAR says they will park them, cover them, drivers will get out of their cars. Second caution of the night leads to a red because of weather in Atlanta.
Yeah, it does sound like we've got a rainstorm coming in here, and this is probably going to be a pretty lengthy red flag. Once it starts raining, we're going to have a pause in the stream because it's going to be a pretty long one. We did not get to halfway, so the race is not official. We will not be ending. Caution for lightning, and again, the word is they're going to cover the cars and the drivers are going to get out, so that means NASCAR is pretty much expecting this is going to be a very lengthy delay here. We'll go through the full field running order real quick. Ryan Blaney is the current race leader under the red flag with Bubba Wallace in 2nd, Tyler Reddick 3rd, Christopher Bell in 4th, Chase Elliott rounding out the top 5 in 5th, Eric Jones in 6th, Kyle Larson 7th, Carson Hocevar 8th, Joey Logano 9th, and Ty Gibbs rounding out the top 10. Austin Cindric in 11th, Shane Van Gisbergen in 12th, John Hunter Nemechek 13th, Ty Dillon 14th, and Denny Hamlin is currently 15th. 16th is Riley Herbst with Daniel Suarez 17th, Michael McDowell 18th, William Byron 19th, and Chris Buescher in 20th. 21st, Austin Dillon, Josh Berry 22nd, Alex Bowman 23rd, Chase Briscoe 24th, and Ryan Preece in 25th. 26th is AJ Allmendinger with Austin Hill in 27th, Connor Zilic 28th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 29th, and Cole Custer in 30th. 31st for Ross Chastain, Zane Smith 32nd, Brad Keselowski 33rd, Todd Gilliland 34th, and Noah Gragson 35th. 36th, Cody Ware, Chad Fincham 37th. 38th is BJ McLeod rounding out the field. All 38 cars that started the race are still in the race. With this caution coming out, Ross Chastain in 31st going to get the free pass and get back on the lead lap. Only 22 laps from halfway, but the race is not going to be official. A little bit more time for you to vote for who you think is going to win tonight's race via the chat poll. 81 votes have been casted so far for who you think is going to win. 38% of you taking somebody other than Blaney, Larson, or Hocevar for the win. All have been contenders up at the front of the field. All have led laps, I do believe. I think Larson's led. Let's go back to this real quick. Larson has led for 4 laps today. Carson Hocevar for 10 and Blaney for 86. And he's been the favorite so far, leading all those laps, winning stage 1 as well. Blaney had 28% of the votes so far for who you think is going to win. 22% have Kyle Larson for the race win today. Carson Hocevar at 11%. Again, 38% taking somebody other than those 3. Yeah, I was just checking my phone to see where the weather was. Lightning hold right now, but they are expecting rain. And it looks like it's going to rain for a lot of the night. So it's either going to be a late night or we're going to be coming back tomorrow to finish this thing off. And I'm curious to know if they end up running a Monday afternoon or a Monday night. Because I'm really hoping it's in the afternoon. Again, covers are going on the cars, and the drivers will be getting out as NASCAR is expecting the storm to come through here pretty soon.
Rain starting to fall. That flag originally was for lightning within 8 miles of the track. Look at
Oh,
this.
wow, that's a big
You
strike.
can hear in the booth the oohs and ahs
Yes.
from the crowd. Want to make sure we keep everybody safe. So you complete the opening stage. Ryan Blaney starts on the pole, leads wire to wire. What have we learned so far now as we hit the middle stretch of stage 2 and we get the red flag?
Well, I think we've learned Penske is as advertised. They qualified well. They absolutely have great speed. Dale pointed out, though, Logano and Cindric, as they lost that track position, and as others have improved, they've kind of slid down the running order, but they've yet to dethrone Blaney. The 12 car looks like it has the speed and so far the handling to keep the top spot.
I'm just amazed at how much the track seems to change every year. We've lost a lot of grip out of this racetrack, and you can see the drivers really chasing a lot of their race cars up the racetrack at turn 3 and 4. It took a little longer for that to happen in stage 2, so that should improve as we go on through the night, obviously. But handling is as important as it's ever been. And I think a lot of these drivers are going to be chasing that handle all night long.
Yeah,
So
it's coming down
pretty
too.
interesting. I think this.
It was starting to rain just a little bit. Now drivers are going back to the haulers because it's starting to rain pretty good now in Atlanta. They're going to be losing the racetrack here soon, so it's probably going to take upwards of about 90 minutes to dry the track after they end up having this rainstorm pass by. So it's going to be a very lengthy delay. We're going to end up taking a dip out of this stream for the meantime. I will be streaming the resumption of this race, whether that would be still tonight or tomorrow, whenever it happens. I'll keep you posted in the community tab. But again, we will be finishing the race right here on KRC. So don't go anywhere. But we're going to take the pause for right now. Appreciate everybody tuning in for the first couple hours of tonight's stream, and we will be back for the finish of the Quaker State 400 whenever that does presume. Again, it's going to be raining on through 10 p.m. Here tonight, so it's I'm going to expect that they're going to push this race to Monday. I was just looking at the Weather Channel, and I'll actually pull that up again here for you to go into detail in the hour-by-hour forecast for Hampton, Georgia, where the Echo Park Speedway is located. Rain plus dry means midnight. Yeah, they still got half of the race to go. NASCAR's probably going to do what they can to try to get this race in today, but it is going to be raining for a while. Every time I back out of the app, it keeps giving me my weather here, which I can understand, I guess, but I go back up into the search bar again. Hampton, Georgia. Yeah, and it's spotty too. I mean, they have this storm, and then they have a really big thunderstorm that there's a lot of red on the radar that's actually coming in after that. There will be a little bit of a break, and then more storms are forming. Very unfortunate. And that, I mean, that goes off and on again through about midnight. So let's see here. So according to the Weather Channel app, obviously it's starting to rain there right now. I'm going to pause it after the first cell goes through. The first cell is supposed to be done about 11:30. And then the second cell that's supposed to come through looks like it's going to hit right around midnight. I don't know. I mean, with it taking as long as it's going to be to dry the track off a mile and a half intermediate, I mean, you're not looking at resuming the race until about 1 to 2 a.m. I just don't see NASCAR resuming the race that late, because if they do it then the race isn't going to get over until like 4 or 5 in the morning. I think they have a better opportunity to get fans in the stands tomorrow. It also does depend on what the weather looks like for tomorrow afternoon as well. Tomorrow afternoon and or tomorrow night. So we'll look. I'll pull tomorrow's weather up for Hampton, Georgia as well. Yeah, off and on again through midnight. Occasional thunderstorms through 12 a.m. I mean, it'd be different if like they can get it started by 12, but it's still going to be raining by 12. So this is going to be a very lengthy delay. and they were only 22 laps shy of halfway. 59% chance of rain. It's really a 50-50 shot of rain the next few days in Atlanta. So let me go hour by hour into tomorrow. Had an ad pop up on my screen. Go figure. I'm trying to look up the weather, and I got ads popping up on my Weather Channel app, and it logged me right back to my hometown again. That's frustrating. All right, let's try this again. Hourly. Through the nights. I would assume they're going to resume early afternoon tomorrow because there's more of a chance of rain in the evening tomorrow than what there is in the early afternoon if they were to resume on Monday. Again, I will keep you all posted in the community tab, so be sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so yet. Like the stream if you haven't done so. We are at 80 likes, but it is going to be a very lengthy delay, and I'd be shocked if they get this thing in again later tonight. But if they do, again, we will be live for it. So whenever they can get it in, whenever they get a start time for tomorrow, I will make sure I'm here, and we will be live for it. So thank you so much. Again, keep a lookout on the community tab. Hit the bell notification icon so you get let me repeat that. You get alerts of uploads when I go live, and as well when there are posts in the community tab so you don't miss anything. You can also follow guys like Bob Podchris on X. Another one, Jeff Gluck is another guy. Jordan Bianchi is another one you can follow on X to kind of keep updated as to when the race is likely to resume. So thank you again so much for watching. I will see you guys for the finish of the Quaker State 400, whenever that may be. To see you soon, hopefully.